the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you is because um this show is all about having a conversation in a lot of things, especially in mental health and addiction. Especially here in the Philippines, we don't talk about or have this conversation about addiction and mental health. So that that's what I got fascinated with your content, because you're truly open to your audience and you're truly open to your experience. So let's let's try and open the doors for the audience here today. Who is Eric Zink?
Um, I'm me. But what got me to be open with it is the fact that there's actually one incident that got me to be
Mm-hmm.
open with my mental health. When my dad committed suicide, he was a well-known doctor, very successful doctor in Michigan, and he killed himself. And during the viewing and stuff, my mom and like my brother were really big on like downplaying that he committed suicide, like not even say he committed suicide, just say, he died by an accident or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I had lost my wife 2 years before that to suicide. And my dad was a big actual part of me healing with my wife's suicide some, and coming to understanding with it. And I was so angry that they were not willing and embarrassed to talk about suicide. And I convinced them to be open about it. No, he committed suicide. You're like, this literally can help people if you're honest.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what really motivated me to start sharing and being open. So I'd gotten sober 3 weeks before my dad committed suicide. And I stayed sober because I didn't realize the trauma of my dad killing himself. So it was out of anger actually that kept me sober. Anger and spite. And 6 months into my sobriety, I got really bored. My dad killed himself. I'm bored. I'm going to war with my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that boredom is a big cause for relapse. And I'm with my psychiatrist. I'm having issues with panic attacks and anxiety, trying to find hobbies to do. And I was like, you know what? I want to start like a little fun business. So I found one of my salesmen who worked for me. We started this business just as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And he got burnt out with it after like probably a month. And originally we called it Driven. And I was like, man, I'm driven by a cause. What is my cause? Is I want to bring awareness to stuff. So I started sharing about my alcohol addiction and my depression.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just slowly grew from there, me being more and more open about things because I realized the more open I was about things, people were thanking me for being open and honest because they didn't know how to be open and honest. And it kind of inspired me of like, hey, there's actually a lot of people that struggle with this. And that's where it kind of went from there. Um, and why I started being more and more open. And the more and more open I think that you are, the more and more healing it is, the more and more freeing it is. Um, you do get hit with a lot of the stigmas of like, you're doing this for attention or whatever. But if you ignore a lot of that and you're doing it because it feels good in your heart and you can feel how it's helping you to release like this internal pressure, I think there's a lot of positivity and benefits to it.
And that's, I mean, that's beautiful if you think about it, because like you said, the reason why I started this whole show or the whole podcast is it's kind of therapeutic for me. I have my own mental health problems, and having this conversation with a lot of people kind of helps me and helps my mental state, especially when I encounter your content on TikTok. It really resonates me in a way that how truly open you are to talk about these things, because again, you've mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stigma, and a lot of people will call you that you're creating this content for attention. But the reality of it, if you zoom out or remove the negative comment, you'll see a lot of people really resonate and really, felt open, because there's some people who are also dealing with these things. It's a kind of a community per se, because yeah,
I,
it's all about, having this discussion, having this thought, and you have a buddy or of a friend that you can reach out and say, "Hey, I'm having this kind of problem. I'm having this thought." You
Hmm.
have this conversation.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important to have that conversation because I think there's a lot of healing to it. I think there's a lot of motivation to it. Don't get me wrong. I have seen people enabled by their mental health where they're playing a victim to it. I've played a victim to my mental health too. Not gonna lie, I have. But there's been also times that, especially for the last couple of years now, especially, I've been very empowered by it. Of if you want to change it, you have to fight. It doesn't come easy. You don't wake up overnight. There is a process that you go through to find your happiness and to heal and to find coping and to find tools to work through it. It's not easy. It's hard work, but it's worth it. And you have to almost find that motivation to put in the work. And you find people who want to put in the work, and then you also find people that don't want to put in the work and they don't want to change. And that's okay. But you know what? You got to also then remember who you surround yourself with, because after a while certain people can drain your energy from you and you can go back to a bad place really easily.
That is true. You can catch the entire episode exclusively on YouTube. It's youtube.com at the Nick Barellano Show. It's youtube.com at the Nick Barellano Show.